Are you wasting time in your content? I know, you don't want to think about it. You're like, everything I do is super productive and it'll help my content grow and get in front of more people. But at the end of the day, after creating more than 1,000 podcast episodes, over 400 YouTube videos, and so many blog posts and emails and social posts, I can tell you that there are 4 main content time wasters that you cannot afford to make. So let's get right to it. Hey y'all, Crystal here today, and I wanted to bring you the 4 content time wasters that I have learned ever since I started creating content in 2018. That was when I started creating those consistent podcast episodes, doing show notes for my podcast, writing weekly newsletters, and I started producing consistent YouTube videos around 2019. And what I've learned in creating all of this content, there are 4 places where you can't afford to waste your time. So let's dive into all of these one by one. The first content time waster is over editing your solo podcast episodes. So obviously this is for solo podcasters, or whether you do a mix of interview and solo episodes. Don't edit out all of those ums and those breath sounds. Like, edit your solo episodes the same way you would edit an interview style episode. Only cut out those huge mistakes or anytime you go off on a tangent that isn't relevant to what you're talking about in the episode, but don't over edit. Don't overcomplicate it. I did this for a long time when I first started doing solo episodes, and I look back and I think, man, I was just way too hard on myself, way harder than if this was a dual conversation between me and another person. So don't be so hard on your solo content. The second way that you may be wasting a lot of time in your content is over editing and proofreading all of your transcripts. Whether this is for your podcast episodes or your YouTube videos, it doesn't really do you any justice to have everything super clearly formatted. Now, I say this because most people watching this aren't going to take your full blog transcript or your full podcast transcript and turn it into a blog. Or you're not going to use your full YouTube transcript and turn it into a blog post. What you're likely going to do is take a few points here and there, maybe zhuzh it up a little bit, and then that will become your blog post. But I, for a long time, grammatically, punctuality, like all of these things. I didn't say that right. I know, I understand. Grammar is actually not my strong suit, but I would format every period, every single capitalization. Like, I made sure everything flowed like it would if you were reading it, and it was way too much. So if you're doing this in your content right now, stop. I'm giving you permission to stop over editing, over formatting all of your transcripts. I recommend doing the bare minimum, and then it's worked out well for me. So just throwing that out there, that you don't have to over edit your transcripts for your podcast or your YouTube content. Just throwing it out there. The third content time waster that I want you to be aware of is taking too long to choose your teaser content. Now, by teaser content, I simply mean a soundbite for your podcast episode or a short YouTube clip from your YouTube video. People will say, how do you choose what you should use for your teaser content? I don't know, that 30 seconds or that 60 seconds or 90 seconds that I should share. This is probably going to frustrate a lot of you that have wondered this, but I'm going to say it. You just pick something. You just pick something that you think your audience would be excited about. Now, do I think that you should start in the middle of someone having like half a thought? No, right? You don't want to start in the middle of a conversation and then someone doesn't have context for what this is about. But at the end of the day, I don't think you can go wrong if you choose the first 30 seconds of a podcast episode or the first 90 seconds of your YouTube video or anywhere in the middle, but don't spend hours like re-listening to your whole podcast episode or re-watching your YouTube video over and over trying to say, I just want to find that perfect 30 seconds. I hope that the whole thing is really good, if I'm being very honest with you. I hope that You have a few nuggets of wisdom in there, but at the end of the day, just pick something. Just pick something and move on. Over time, you'll get better at getting faster at choosing, oh, you know what, I remember I said this one thing at, minute 11 and I want to go back and pull it out. You'll get better at that, but don't spend so much time choosing your teaser content. And actually, I want you to tell me in the comments, are you currently creating any kind of teaser content? I have some great resources that I'll link to in the video description for creating sound bites for your podcast, but I want to know if you want to know more about really creating marketing materials for your content. So if you do, tell me in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But let's dive into the fourth content time waster. Now, this last one is a doozy because I know I suffered from this for a long time and it held me back. And it is perfectionism and overthinking that everything you create has to be mind-blowing. At the end of the day, I know that not every piece of content that I put out into the world is going to blow your mind. I do. And not every podcast episode, not every YouTube video, newsletter, Instagram post, blog post. I know that I'm not going to blow your mind every single time I put out a piece of content. So I quit trying. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't continue to add value in my content. It simply means that I don't spend hours. I used to spend hours, sometimes days, really just hovering over one piece of content and saying, how can I make this perfect? How can I make this be the best thing that my audience has ever seen? That's too high of a bar to set, and it's an unrealistic expectation that I will never meet. So I'm pretty happy with the idea that I may blow your mind 20% of the time. I'm happy with that because at this point, I've created thousands of pieces of content. So if we do some simple math and say 1,000 pieces of content times 20% of the time means I've made about 200 pieces of content that are relevant for my audience, maybe even change somebody's life, and I'm okay with that. So at the end of the day, don't spend your time really getting into that perfectionist and overthinking mindset. I want you to just keep creating, and I want you to enjoy what you are doing. And speaking of enjoying what you're doing, if you're watching this in real time, we just launched our brand new program, Radical Repurposing. Now, this program was created for exhausted podcasters, burned out YouTubers, and bloggers with the ultimate writer's block. And if you're like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me, that's exactly where I am right now, then I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/radical. Now, if you are watching this after October 27th, 2022, then the doors are closed, but you can go to the waitlist, which I will link to in the video description. We have a waitlist page for you to join. But if you're watching this in real time and you want to know, how can I enjoy my content again? How can I get back to a place of loving what I'm doing? I want to see you inside Radical Repurposing. So again, go to crystalprofit.com/radical to join us. But that's all I have for you today. Don't waste any more time in your content, overanalyzing, overthinking, or spending way too much time editing. I want you to do things that help you enjoy your content and create with confidence. So if you found today's video helpful, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe below if you haven't already. Check out our other videos here, all about content strategy, content creation, and content marketing. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.